This episode is brought to you by Hair and Beauty by Nikki L. Custom color, extensions, and healthy hair with heart.
Nikki's been slaying hair for 17 years, and she's all about helping women feel confident, bold, and beautiful.
Follow at Hair and Beauty by Nikki L. and book your transformation today. Your hair will thank you.
Wonder.
Welcome back to another empowering episode of Señora Vibes Podcast, where grown mujeres come to share real stories, celebrate bold moves, and spark sisterhood. Today's theme is Close Our Hearts, Reinvention. Something that's close to our hearts, It's Reinvention, a second act, because let's be real, it's never too late to pivot. Whether you're 40, 50, or beyond, there's no expiration date on dreams.
We're joined by two incredible women who've done just that, redefined what life looks like in their next chapter on their terms. So grab your cafecito, turn up the volume, and get ready to feel inspired.
All right, I'm excited.
Super excited.
So we have two guests today. Alicia, will you give us
our
introductions to our first guest?
Lorett Cuadra, a Houston powerhouse and the queen of luxury resale. Lorett Cuadra is the founder of Bombochiya, an authentic luxe handbag boutique, and the co-host of the Louder Please podcast. She turned her love for fashion and storytelling into a thriving business, and now she's helping other women do the same. Lorett proves that reinvention isn't just a chapter, it's a lifestyle.
All right,
Woo!
Okay.
Yes.
And our second guest, Miss Dhara Mistry. Right?
Ooh, I like how you said that.
From boardrooms to breakthroughs, Dhara Mistry is an executive leadership coach who left behind a high-powered HR executive role and a Big Four consulting career to start her own coaching firm. Today, she helps professionals and companies lead with purpose and people-first values. She's living proof that careers pivot can be powerful and fulfilling. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
So excited to have
you.
You guys are on different spectrums, but you guys are both powerhouse women, and we're just excited to hear about that. Right? Today's theme is about reinventing yourself after 40, or if you're getting close to that age, right?
Right.
And how it's not hard to do, right? It's not impossible. Sometimes we think if we fail, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Can I do this again? Can I pivot? Can I reinvent myself? I know I reinvented myself a couple of times, and I continue to do it. Like, if you would have asked me 5 years ago, would I be right here? I'd be like, no. No, heck no. I was like all about my kids, all about my husband, baking, cooking,
Right.
making, homemade crafts and, being a chauffeur.
Staying busy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be this person, So let's talk about that, ladies.
No, and I mean, reinvention is really something that just kind of like is in everything, right? I mean, you see artists, you see celebrities, you see people reinventing themselves, but we don't really give ourselves enough credit when we go through a reinvention. And I think that's why this podcast is so important, because it's time for us to celebrate that evolution, that reinvention, that becoming something else that you never thought you would become. Like, I started a business at 40 that I never thought I would, because I was in education for so long. I was in education for like 20, 25 years. And then I started a business at 40. And then at 45, 40 was it when I started? Yeah. And then at 45, I started the podcast, and it's 5 years now. So it's something that I'm really like passionate about, because I think it's something that we really need to talk a little bit more about.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're so grateful that we have you ladies here for this episode.
Yeah, it's important to stay within our community,
For sure.
to support each other, especially with times changing the way that they are. And, I feel like, and I said this earlier, I feel like the male energy wants us to dim our light. We're powerhouses. We can do it all.
Absolutely.
My grandson calls me his superhero.
What a
He
compliment.
says, I'm your superhero and you're my superhero.
Oh, that's
sweet.
And I'm like, you're right. I created you. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be here, little boy.
That's true.
From the mouth of babes, for sure.
Right? So first question. Let's start with you, Miss Lorett. What was the moment you realized it was time to pivot?
Wow. thank you for having me.
Yeah, for
what
sure.
a great opportunity, and I love what you guys are doing. This
Thank
is
you.
fantastic.
Thank you.
What was the time? So I was in corporate America as well.
Okay.
And I had to make the hard decision of taking my former employer to court
Oh,
for
wow.
sexual harassment.
No way.
Yes, way. And it was scary. You know, that was a pivot for me because I'm like, this is my career. You know, this is what I've worked for. I've been married for 30 years. I have 3 children. My 2 kids are in their 20s. We had just had a baby. I just about to turn 40 and I had a baby and God's blessing. So I'm like, okay, I really got to work. I gotta focus on what I want to do. And did that one with a panel of 6 men, found, you know, that I was telling the truth. And so, but that kind of like ruined the career in the real estate and title business because you kind of have this target, like you're too loud. You might say something.
You're too opinionated.
You're too opinionated. You're very assertive.
Aggressive.
Yes. And assertive, I'm like, are they calling me can we cuss here? You know, are they calling me a bitch? You know, because when I hear assertive from a man, it's masculine, it's powerful, it's healthy.
It's
and
positive.
absolutely. And for a woman to be assertive,
It's a negative.
very negative. And so I'm like, I like the word assertive.
I know that's right. I own that word.
I want to be assertive. So my sister calls me and says, hey, this lady wants to sell a resale shop. And I'm like, I want it. It was always a dream of mine.
Oh, really?
To own a little resale shop.
Yeah.
I've always thrifted.
Yeah.
I find joy. Like, it's like I'm searching for something and you find something worth $800 and you're paying $8.
Yeah, it's
the
like
thrill.
a treasure.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Such a
Finding treasure.
thrill. Sustainability and all that.
What did they say? That's better than having an orgasm sometimes.
I thrift every week. It is not. It is not. I
No,
mean,
but
you know,
when you find that special piece, it is pretty exciting.
it is pretty. Yeah, it's climatic for sure. So I said, let's do it. We revamped it. And my daughter, who is in social media, she has her own business social media. I'm so proud of her. She said, Mom, if you are not on social media promoting your business, you're not even competing. Like, you've got to be on social media. Did that. We grew it into 2 stores, one in downtown Houston in the tunnels and one on Memorial.
Kudos.
Yes. And it was hard because, you know, I don't have a college education. I didn't take any business courses. And so I had a lot of like that imposter syndrome, right? Where you're like, really, you're going to own a store? You're going to know how to balance a checkbook? You know, all the things that coming from immigrant parents, we weren't taught necessarily. We were taught the grit. We were taught
Work hard.
Work hard.
To
Work
stick
hard,
it
work hard.
through. and-
make something happen out of
Yeah.
nothing, you know?
Keep your head down.
Yeah, but balancing a checkbook and, you know, registering a name, that's something that we weren't necessarily taught. So with that, again, we fell into a scam. Someone had approached us. She claimed that, you know, inviting us to be on a TLC show. They needed a resale shop. I was getting emails from TLC. So I pivoted my entire time into this plan that she had for us. And unfortunately, 6 months later, we find out it's all a scam, all a hoax. 6 months and you know, we gave her like $50,000 of goods, you know, because I'm the type that you're like, hey, I need an extra microphone. I'm like, girl, I got one in the car.
Yeah.
What do you need?
Right.
You know, someone that I knew. And unfortunately, we made the hard decision of pressing charges, and that was very difficult. But as soon as we made a statement, a group of women came up and said, I was affected too. And so that was important for me because we were the ones most affected financially. I'm like, I know they're not, the voices together are a lot stronger. So business tanked, closed both stores. That's why I love the title of this, Reinvention.
Yeah, it is reinventing yourself.
You know, because there was a period of about a week, thankfully, that I was like, I think I'm in depression. Like, this is, I've lost my reputation in business. You know, there are people, it's consignments. There are people that we didn't pay back on time. We're still paying back. You know, we had 7 years of trying to make a name for herself, just fell to the ground. So now, as of a month ago, I took like a little sabbatical, you know, take some time to like, what do I want to do? Reassess, pivot, what can I take from the business that was so glorious at one time?
Because there was a lot of good that came from that, I'm sure.
Absolutely. The community that we built. Just, the women coming in, and I don't want to cry, but women coming in being like, I can't afford to go to Macy's or Dillard's or, and I come here and I spend $50 and I have like 5-7 outfits.
Yeah.
And then you get that customer service treatment, like, you matter.
Yeah.
What do you need? I know
got
you by
you.
name.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You
That's
know,
important.
yeah.
Yes.
So I pivoted into just being more of a momager for smaller businesses, and focusing on just branding the luxury designer bags and having a connection more with my clients have followed us for years. What do you need? What are you looking for? So I think every woman can pivot, and it's just a matter of not staying complacent. It doesn't have to mean you got to go through a scam to do it or sue an employer,
Yeah.
Pivot whenever you feel like it, whenever you get bored, you can pivot.
Exactly. Awesome. All
Yeah,
right,
it
Ms.
doesn't
Dhara.
take like a big event for it. Like it
Right.
could happen when you need it to happen for yourself.
It's all about timing.
Yep.
And did that lead to Bombochiya?
So we started First Dibs, and there was no First Dibs around. And then we started getting a lot of traction on social media. And then we got a letter from an attorney in New York that we were infringing on First Dibs, the
The ice
number
cream.
one ST. They're and they sell art and antique. And at that time, they weren't selling any luxury bags.
Oh, interesting.
So my husband's like, let's fight them. I'm like, no.
I'm done fighting.
Yeah. I'm assertive y toda la cosa, but I'm not.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a
yeah,
bigger
yeah.
animal. And so my mom, who was Cuban,
Uh-huh.
passed away 11 years ago, she always celebrated life, like to the fullest. And every birthday was like a huge celebration. On a budget, but a huge celebration.
Right.
So she had a song called Bombochiya.
Oh.
So we...
Her own song that she
I think it's like a Cuban
Oh, okay,
cultural thing, but we call it Bella song. It's Bombochiya Chia Cha. It's like almost in the Mexican culture, they're like Chiquitibuma la bim bomba kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
And so I said, what is something that's like us and nobody will ever be able to take away? And Bombochiya just came to mind. And so,
Okay.
Oh, I love that.
yeah.
So
it's
you
Bombochiya.
reinvented even a name.
Yeah.
Not just yourself, your business and a name.
Yeah,
Very cool.
absolutely.
What a story.
Aw,
What a story.
thank you.
All right. All right, Miss Dhara, let's talk about you. I mean, you're a powerhouse yourself. I was so impressed by your speech the other day when I first met you, and I was like, oh my gosh, this lady's amazing. How do you do all that?
Yeah, you did tell
know,
me that. She
I
immediately texted me. She's like, I have the perfect
perfect
person.
person.
Yeah.
Your story's so amazing. So just give me some highlights about your story really quickly.
Sure. So mine was driven by a moment. So I'm all about pivoting as well. But as I shared in my story, I think my last pivot that led me to my current moment of being an executive coach and a fractional HR leader came from being fired. Like straight up. Like I had no choice but to pivot. So that's like the final finale that led us to this moment. But even like as I was telling everyone during my speech, the last 5 years has been a pivot. And similar to you, have you said during the pandemic, you know, you needed something more. And so you started the podcast. A quick summary of what I spoke about at that engagement was same thing. So I was at my corporate job for 11 years, grew the ranks, did all the things, badass, all the things, right? All of us do it, right? Long story short, my morals were not aligned with the company. So I quit on my terms. I was like, I'm done. Like, this is just not working. From there, I landed my dream job as a director of HR at a startup tech company, which I miss dearly. But unfortunately, I got laid off.
Okay.
And then ironically, the day I got laid off is when I got a call from an executive recruiter who's like, oh, are you looking for a job? And I said, dude, 29 minutes ago, I just got laid off. So yes. And I landed my role as a C-suite at a firm. And I was the youngest person, made C-suite at the age of 36, a woman of
Female,
color,
right?
female, all the things. And then,
And a mom at the time, too. Were you a
yeah.
new mom at the time?
So when I left the company of 11 years, I had 2 boys under 3. And when I was C-suite, there were like 5 and 6. And so it was a challenging time with young little kids.
Yeah.
Like we have family, but not in Texas. So it's just my husband and I, very supportive husband. We've been married together for like 14 years. So on a personal standpoint, it was great. And I landed the dream job, right? Per society, like 36, woman of color. I'm also an immigrant. I was born in India. So, to make it to C-suite, that's like the dream.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking C-suite, like, y'all, the shit that I was seeing was insane. Like I was flying private jet every other week. I had my own private black car when I landed. I was drinking Dom Perignon every time when I was on the private jet. P.S. It's gross.
Yeah.
I personally didn't like
I
it.
know.
I was like, I like my Costco La Marca. It's awesome. But unfortunately, due to Mean Girls, Boys Club, all the bullshit, a year later, I was terminated. And so and I did fall into a depression, and it was shitty. I was just like, I reached the top. It was so lonely. But as we all talked about, we're women of color, we're immigrants, so we know that we keep going, we fight, we have our grit, we're resilient. So we kept going, and I was not going to let no Mean Girls or Boys Club take me down. But unfortunately, things turned out how they did. And at that engagement was the first time that I publicly shared that I was fired, because we take so much shame and guilt.
And we're prideful too. I mean,
We
I'm
are
very
prideful.
Yeah.
Prideful. And, and my husband, who was like, you share that whenever you're ready. And
Yes.
even though I knew, because they told me as I was being terminated, they're like, it's just the people dynamics, but we love your work. And the recruiter that hired me is still working to hire my replacement. And they keep saying, can you find us another Dhara? So it was never my performance. It was
politics.
It was just me
office
being me.
politics.
Right. And going back to the fact that woman of color, very confident, assertive. I know what I want. I'm
Highly
great at what I do.
educated.
Highly educated.
Exactly.
You intimidate a lot of people.
Exactly.
And
but which is so weird.
It's a them problem. Yeah.
That I love when people are like, oh, I'm a girl's girl. I'm like, are you though? Are you a girl's
Good
girl?
question. Yeah.
Because a girl's girl is not going to like take down another girl.
Right.
And I mean, again, everything worked out as it should, but there was a big transition period where I was job hunting. I was on unemployment. I was like, I've never had to job hunt because everything, ironically, due to my experience, just like fell into my lap. Like, I mean, I did my efforts of connecting, applying, but it wasn't that hard. And then,
But you know what? That's cool and not cool that you were able to experience that, because now you've walked through that path.
oh,
and you
it
can
was
help
so
people,
humbling.
right?
It was so humbling. Like, I mean, and I'm on the HR side. So like I do recruiting, I go through applications. So like I've been on that side already, but to be that person when I have my clients that I coach and they're like, oh, I'm applying for jobs, like I tell them, like, I get it, like it's tough, like
I'm doing other things, I don't know
doing the
what's going on.
submission and like it going into a blank space
Yes.
and you praying and hoping that somebody reads it. Like I resonate. But for me, it came to the point where I was already doing executive coaching loosely during the pandemic. People have reached out. They're like, you're so successful and confident. Like, I'd love to learn from you. So I was already doing that loosely. And my husband's just like, fuck applying for jobs. Like, just do this full time. And I was like, you know what? Shit, let's do this full time. So coaching with Dhara came and here we are.
Yeah. And I think something that like really, we've talked about this before and a few times, we're always also trying to fulfill our parents' dreams. So we will put up with a lot so that we don't disappoint them, because they have all of these dreams for us. Because I'm also a daughter. I'm a first generation. So for me, like disappointing them or telling them that I got fired or that somebody did something to me, like I wouldn't even complain to them. I don't even want to know about it because it's so personal.
Yeah.
And then they take it very personal too, because my failures or my lack of something, they sense it and they feel it too. And then they don't know how to approach it because they don't have the wherewithal to give me that feedback in a way that's not like, breaking a soul.
Yeah,
right.
I remember
so that adds to everything that we're going through.
100%. I remember when I got fired, like again, the writing was on the wall. Like I knew it was coming. I was hoping to finish out the year, get my bonus, which they gypped me on, but anyways, we handled
Not
that.
the money.
We handled that though. And I was already job hunting loosely, right? So I mean, I was already navigating and mentally checked out in the sense that I wasn't going to stay here long term, but still showing up 200% because that's what we do. We don't half-ass our shit, right?
No, never.
And I remember going back to your point about the parents, like when it all finished, like my husband knew the politics, my brother, and, you know, we're professionals, so they get it. My parents are immigrants, you know, business owners, so they don't understand the professional setting as much.
Right.
So I remember afterwards, like literally hours afterwards, my dad's like, well, maybe you could have, you know, and he's trying to like, and my husband, like, who like never would talk back
He's
to
so
my dad.
patient.
He took the FaceTime. He's like, Dad, this was not her fault.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it was straight bullshit politics.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she did everything perfect. And so, you know, to
But
your point.
that's
but
part of why we don't say anything to them,
Exact-
because they're like, well, what did you do?
Yeah, what did you do?
Yeah.
You could have saved
And
this,
we're
you
over
know?
here like we did everything
Yeah.
we could.
Uh,
And
it happened because of who I
believe
am.
me,
you
yes,
know?
exactly. And that's
Like-
something you can't change.
Right. Exactly. So I resonate with that.
And
Yeah.
you shouldn't be apologetic for that, right?
Absolutely.
So we talked about that earlier too. Is like I feel like people are trying to dim our light sometimes, especially being women of a different ethnicity, right? And with times happening the way they're happening, it's really hard to stand in that, right? And not accommodate other people's uncomfortness, right? So as leaders and as powerful women, how do you tell this new generation that's coming up? Because I feel like some of these little girls are very entitled.
Yeah.
We need to humble them a little bit, but also set them up for what's coming.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
I have a fresh example just from Saturday. We were like, it was a personal thing, but like yesterday at Mother's Day brunch, I was like unraveling it with my husband, and I went back to my like 9-year-old Dhara. But, you know, we were hanging out in a personal social setting, and, you know, someone who doesn't look like me, a different gender, was just trying to, mansplain me. And
Ooh.
I don't take shit from nobody.
Yeah.
So I fucking gave it back. And it made him so uncomfortable. Like the side comments just kept going, and I just respectfully kept giving it back. And like he's just staring at me like, oh my gosh. And you know, and then everything dissolved and whatever. And it didn't get nasty, but it was very funny because in my head I was like, men like you, I've seen my whole life,
Yeah.
especially in the professional setting and in a personal setting. But it's so funny to me that like you think because you're a man and if you don't look like me, you're allowed to talk to me that way.
Yeah.
And when you are able to speak back with conviction and respect, they are very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
Like the amount of men I've seen in that space, especially in a professional setting, they are, and that's when we get called the bitch,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm like, no, you just said the same shit to me, but
Yeah.
because you're a white dude, it's okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm a brown woman,
They get
and
a pass all the
I
time.
rebutted you, so now it's all of a sudden the B.
Yeah.
No, sir,
Yeah.
that's not how this shit works.
Yeah.
Not how it works.
Someone tried in my former employer, they tried to give me a compliment that I reminded them of a man's attitude in business. And I was like, that's not a compliment. You know, you might think that that's how you're perceiving me, but being strong, being someone that has their own ideas. And I think that's what keeps a lot of women from really living their fulfilled life. Is like, how could I, like, you know, who's going to take me seriously?
Yeah.
You know, what am I really capable of? And it's so important just to try, just to go for it. And to your younger generation. So my daughter is 27, and I think that kind of pocket of generation, they're non-judgmental, which I love. You know, they embrace everybody.
Right.
They do.
You know, it's not there's not like a clique of people. It's like you're inclusive. Like things that maybe our parents would say back in the day, they would be horrified if
Yeah.
they heard me say something like that. They would be and like, you can't say,
Say
that,
that.
Mom. What are you talking about? And it's just, I love that about that generation. But
Yeah.
I do think that some of them are a little sensitive. I worry about.
A little hypersensitive.
Yes, a little sensitive, but at the same time, they are very in tune with their feelings.
Yeah.
Like when I was younger, I could not come to my mom and say, "Estoy deprimida," you know, like I'm sad.
Yeah.
She would be like, "I'm sorry, I came from a communist country.
Exactly.
Get over it.
You are in America.
Girl.
You can say whatever you want. What do you mean
Yeah.
like you are in the land of opportunity?" That was her take. So we were always taught that, I struggled with my maiden name was Sanchez. So when I moved from Eagle Pass, Texas, from Chicago to Eagle Pass, Texas to Houston, they immediately put me in ESL because of my last name.
Shout out to Eagle Pass, Texas. That's where my family's from.
Oh, wow. You might have been my neighbor. It was a very small town.
Might have.
And one high school, one middle school, one.
My grandparents and my great-grandparents were
Okay,
down there. And then
okay.
they moved to Houston.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we were neighbors. We followed each other. So anyway, they put me in ESL, and shout out to Miss Bova. I would never forget. I would pass all the tests. She's like, I don't think you're supposed to be in here. So it was just because of the last name. So I always, that was almost like a complex for me, having the last name Sanchez. First, Lorett is not easy. No. And then Sanchez, it's just kind of like, and you're in a predominantly all white middle school.
Yeah.
Back then. But they always taught me, like, you are an American. Like, you have every right to compete. You have every right to be next to someone. Doesn't matter what your last name is. You have the same opportunities. Granted, thank God, now I know, like, I didn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, my parents were working. I played soccer in high school. I could have tried to go to college. They didn't know the application process. They didn't know, get her on film. And so, but I didn't know the difference. I was like, I'm the same as everybody else. I think that the generation now, I love that they can validate their feelings.
Yeah.
They can express that, because I think that's important.
It's super important.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, kudos to those Gen X parents that are raising these kids to be super in tuned with themselves, that are open, that are bringing problems to the open, right? They're not holding it inside. Like, even if I sit down with my kids, they will just open up and stuff that I would have never talked to my parents, because it was just something that we wouldn't open up to.
Right.
And sometimes my husband and I are like, okay, that's TMI now. Like, now they're giving us way too much information, and we don't really need to know all of that. But I love that about our generation, that we're really allowing these kids to kind of come into their own, something that we would have probably never given that access to, and finding ways to fix things together. Like I always say, we can always strategize this. We can always figure out how to fix this. Like, nothing is impossible. We can figure this out, because I think one of the things that happens with the kids, especially with young girls, especially with social media, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of she's got that, why don't I have that? Like, and I have boys, but I hear this from my sister and from other girls, other women. I can't imagine us growing through that, right? And having to go through that now at this stage in our lives. So bridging those gaps as older women, as señoras, for younger girls, I think it's not even just girls, but boys too. Yeah. At this point, we have to really raise them with that awareness as well, right?
And the awareness also that what they're seeing is 20 seconds of a filtered life. Okay. Then, and I try to tell, any young girl that I see is like, but my forehead, my niece was, my forehead's big. I'm like, you're gorgeous. Like, literally, you're gorgeous. But if you see all these girls with like 2-inch forehead, I guess, it's like, or that.
It could just be one person that points it out,
right?
One comment,
right?
And that will stick in their head forever.
Right. It's a 20-second reel, but you don't know what's going on behind that camera.
That's a tough thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what would you what kind of advice would you give someone who's scared to leave their secured career, like in HR and corporate? I haven't been in corporate in years, at least 20 something years. I pivoted when I was 27 into the beauty industry. So, and that was because my father passed away, and I was like, I gotta do something different. I don't want to be a 9-to-5er. I don't want to, when I pass away, they give me a broken watch like they did him, Nobody remembered him. Nobody came. And I'm like, that's not what I want.
And they devote their lives to their
his life to his company.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I want people to remember who I am, right? And I want to give back something, a part of me. So what would you tell somebody who was in your situation, like not to be scared or to bet on themselves?
For sure. So I do want to say, I don't think 9-to-5 is a bad gig.
No, absolutely.
I think you have to find a 9-to-5 that matches with your purpose. And if that's there, then make sure that you optimize it. Don't stick around a 9-to-5 that is draining you and you're not being paid well, you're not liking what you do, you don't have the opportunity, whatever it is for you. I mean, some people love their basic 9 to 5,
Right.
low key, under the radar. Like, that's fine. I always tell all my coaching clients, I'm like, look, just be happy wherever you're at. And if you're not, have the courage to move. The first thing I'll say, especially given the market, make sure you have your finances locked down. So because the job market is tough, and because everyone is, exploring their entrepreneur side, which is great, and there is definitely room for everyone, but also, to have people spend money is going to be hard. So that being said, I would say, at least have 6 to 9 months, if not 12 months of savings locked in before you're able to, take a leap of faith. But that being said, while you have your job is when you should start looking. I was dramatic and I quit without anything lined up during the pandemic. Like, people are getting laid off.
Yeah.
And during the pandemic was the movement of the Great Resignation, and I was one of them. And looking back, I was like, man, that was fucking ballsy.
yes.
Like, I had a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a mortgage, and I was just like, fuck this shit, I'm out. And
Yeah.
I mean, it all worked out, but it also could have taken a while.
Yeah.
But that's not the case every time. So looking back, hindsight, I'm just like, okay, well, make sure you have, stuff saved up. And the minute you're like, this is just not working out for me, that's when you should start looking. Invest in a resume writer. Invest in getting a coach, whether it's an executive coach or a career coach, whatever. And stop optimizing your network, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, whatever you need to. Start doing the behind the scenes before you make your exit. Make it a planful exit and do it on your terms.
Yeah.
Where you are in control, you're confident in your decision. And, if you get to the point where you're like, okay, I've been applying, I haven't have saved up, I'm just totally miserable and hating it. Okay, well, long as you're able to sustain and, take care of yourself, pay your bills, and, I say go for it. And, people don't understand that there's so much that they already have to offer that they can utilize. You can start doing contract gigs. You can start, selling something on social media, whether it's like, hey, I can be a fractional consultant for this or help you with this and that. Utilize your talents.
Right.
And don't be afraid to try little side hustles, because it could turn into your main hustle.
Right.
Like, truly, my side hustle that I was just doing because people were reaching out to me has now allowed me this freedom during my pivot, so don't be afraid. If you want to start a retail business or open a coffee shop, like all of those things, start researching that. Start, like, when you're at work and you're like, I hate this, oh my gosh, I have to send another email, like, rather than going down a rabbit hole, I always tell all my clients, I'm like, have another journal at your work where you write down all your ideas that, if I had $1 million, I want to open a coffee shop, or I want to do this, and start researching it. What does it take to start an LLC? What does it take to get a lease at a little plaza? Start doing all of that so you can divert your energy rather than feeling drained and, oh my gosh, I hate my job. Focus your energy on okay, I'm going to work on my resume. I'm going to start a business and keep hustling, collect that paycheck, and start building out that blueprint. Like, what is your blueprint going to look like that day when you send your 2 weeks notice and you're like, bitch, I'm out in 2 weeks, that you're ready to run, whether it's already interviewing, whether it's, signing a lease to a place and you're going to open a coffee shop, like whatever it is, divert that drainage energy to what is my next move and start executing and building that detailed blueprint. And, that's going to increase the positivity, the motivation, and you'll gain that confidence. And it sounds woo woo, but at one point you will figure out when your time is up. And even if you don't have the next move completely plotted to the T, you'll know and you'll be able to bring it to life. It's all about having some kind of plan.
Yeah.
Some kind of plan. And also don't be so stuck on the plan, because as we know as entrepreneurs, it's
incorporate flexibility in the plan.
Yes.
It's so
be
important.
open to it changing and evolving, but that's going to lead you to
and not be
your
afraid
purpose.
of falling, right?
Oh, we've fallen many times.
Many times.
Failure is
I
where
love
you
hearing
learn.
that. I love hearing you say that. Put a
Yes.
system in place, right? a plan A, a plan B, a C, just to get you to where you want to be. Don't be stuck. You're not stuck.
You're not stuck. You have
You
options.
you have the power to change and pivot
But
your
instead
life.
of having that energy and like
I hate my job. I hate my
hating,
job. Yeah.
your energy goes into building something and planning
Exactly.
and putting things into motion.
Being more
It's like putting
positive.
your little ducks in order.
Exactly. I literally have a client that I'm coaching right now. He's a director at a very, very big tech company. He hates it. But on the side, we've been, building a business plan, and he's already started bringing in clients, and like his robust side hustle is getting bigger and bigger. And he just told me, he's like, I think in a month I'm going to be able to quit.
There you
So
go.
he went from like hating his job to just collecting that paycheck, building the side hustle.
Right.
Now he's going to transition.
How important do you think it is to like finding your, like making your passion into your purpose, like being able to love what you do? You know, how important do you think that is for someone?
So I'm going to piggyback a little bit on
Yeah.
what you were saying, because it's so important to listen. I think you and I are very fortunate that we do have spousal support.
Yes.
You know, for those women that are out there as single moms per se, they're like, you know how hard it might be for me to save 6 to 9 months? It's doable. I mean, we can cut out the Starbucks, we can eat sandwiches, we can make tuna fish casserole. It's doable, but it's longer to attain. So for those moms that are out there, I would say we're in an era where there's so much opportunity, like you were saying, to make us, you can bake cookies, you can be a content creator.
Finding
you can,
multiple ways of income, bringing
Yeah.
in income.
Absolutely. You can pop your camera and start teaching people about tips that you might be good at. And if you're not good at it, then go to the public library, pick up a book. But
Yes,
it comes
those
from
still
passion.
exist.
Yes, the library still
And
exists,
it's
people.
free.
Yes, thank you.
And they have free resources, guys.
I say if Google was around or AI was around, I would have been a lawyer.
Girl,
Like
girl,
when I was
I
younger.
would've been a billionaire.
Oh my God.
YouTube University.
Yeah.
You can learn anything on YouTube
Yeah,
now.
exactly. So I feel like sometimes, you feel stuck because you're stuck up here.
Yeah.
You've got to change your mindset to be like, okay, wait a second.
And how do you change that mindset?
For
The
me,
women you're around, right? The people
Absolutely.
you have in your circle.
like-minded people.
What you listen to, what you watch.
I mean, how many podcasts? Yours is amazing. You can listen to 180 something episodes. I'm sure you guys have talked about a multiple of things.
Yeah, Alicia has a great platform.
So many.
Yeah.
So many things.
So many things. So I feel like it's like if you are stuck, it's because your mind is stuck. If you're stuck, it's because this is your 9 to 5 routine. And I agree. For me, the 9 to 5, I loved it because it's consistent. It's safe.
It's a stable
security.
paycheck every
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like you, like if that is what you're, it's keeping the lights on, it's paying the bills, do it. But we have 20, like I love the saying about Beyonce has the same amount of hours that we do.
Yep.
And look at her go.
Yeah,
And she
exactly.
could stop. These 2 young ladies that managing on the podcast, the Lulu Magic, they don't have a reason to do anything else. They're very established. They're business women. And I've learned so much from them because it's like, it doesn't matter if you have all this financial freedom. There's a lot of people that just want to move in other capacities.
Yeah.
They want to build something that fulfills them. So for those that are single mom or like, you know what, I don't have that support to just quit my job and go, it's attainable. If you have a plan, like you mentioned, do something you love. I mean, nowadays you can go to a thrift store, spend $10 and
Yeah.
flip it on eBay.
Yeah.
Well, how do I do that? Like you said, go to YouTube, learn. Knowledge is power. Just inform yourself. And I think as I just turned 51, I feel like you have
you
to
look
read.
amazing.
Thank you. You have to read books, guys. Like
Yeah,
we have
so
to,
important.
we have to read. High school finish, college, but you have to continue feeding your mind in what you can grow with. I feel like this reinvention you guys are talking about,
Yes.
it's fantastic. We're sitting in it. It's lonely sometimes.
And are you guys having fun while you're doing it?
Oh, so much
I'm
fun.
having
Yeah.
a blast.
And you're hanging out with you
Incorporate,
guys.
like a little bit of patience in that too, because I think the younger you are, the more impatient you are to
Absolutely.
get things done, because everything around you, everybody's doing
trying to
it.
keep
They're
up
doing
with
it.
the
They're doing it.
Joneses.
They're doing it.
The
Oh,
advantage
for
that we
sure.
have
Yeah.
is it's slow and steady for sure. But the advantage that I think we have is the wisdom
Yes.
from the experiences that we failed at. And I was just talking to my little boy about this. Failure is not a bad thing.
No, it's necessary.
It's very necessary. And I felt very defeated when I had my store and we'd have a good closeout day and I'm like, I remember thinking, I am not in any type of gratitude mode.
Yeah. You need
And
to be,
as
always.
soon as I started being and I'm embarrassed to say it, but I was like, just not grateful for anything. I was grateful for my kids and my husband and my house.
Of course.
But I'm like, I'm working hard. So I should have that kind of attitude. It was pitiful. And as soon as I shifted my mindset, I'm like, thank you, God, that I have this car. Yes, the gas is a little high, but that I can afford the gas, just those little things.
Yes.
And just my perspective on things completely changed. And I think, like I said, the mindset is everything.
It really is everything.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I'll say with the mindset is you have to see who is at your table. Because if your table has some shady people, get up and leave and find a new table. Sit at a table by yourself, but fill your table with people that are on the same wavelength as you. Because who you're surrounding yourself with is going to directly impact your ability to be successful in that
100%.
space.
Absolutely.
Because if you are with passive aggressive, sneaky, mean girls that are like, yes, girl, get it, but like, no, not really, you are going to fail.
Yeah.
Or
Like,
always talking
100%.
about problems.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
want
Like,
that.
find yourself around people that are thinking about those ideas, that are also going to give you ideas, that are also going to be like, hey, I don't want to do this, but I think my girl would be good for it. Like, you need to surround yourself with people that are wanting the same things. Not necessarily like, hey, we're both going to open a coffee shop, but the fact that you want something bigger and better for yourself, like, that is necessary. And yes, that means we're going to shed old relationships.
sure.
And it's uncomfortable, and especially in our brown culture where we do not break relationships.
Yeah.
No, there's
we do
loyalty
not.
there, yeah.
But at the same time, like, you have to. And, that's such a big cultural thing that we all struggle with, right?
And it's
Like,
important for the
but
growth
you have to.
because they will hold you back. Or the
200%.
energy will hold you back.
I heard Michelle Obama say recently on a podcast, she said that not everybody is equipped to climb that mountain with you.
Go to the next level with
Yeah,
you.
and it doesn't mean that
She's
you're
right.
better than that.
No, you're just climbing different mountains. That's
you're
it.
climbing
Yeah.
different mountains. You can you can't hold everybody on your back.
Nope.
And there is also that misconception, like, oh, she thinks she's too good. It's not that. Look, I ain't 50 years old. We have limited time. We have limited time to make a difference.
Yeah.
To empower
And that
each
goes
other.
back to our theme, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm. We have limited
We
time.
don't have time for anybody's BS. right
Yeah.
now.
No.
We've
Yeah.
got things to do.
We
got
have things to
lives
do.
to live, and we
Yeah,
want to live
yeah,
our
yeah.
lives. We don't want to be held back. I understand that part.
Yeah, no, I think now that I'm reaching 50, I was telling her, I said, I don't want basic people around me anymore. I'm like really like at a place where I just want to keep elevating. Cause like, I feel like maybe it's my time. Like now it's my time.
Most valuable possession is your
It's
time.
not even that
Yeah.
itself. It's just, I don't want to be around people who think it's just regular is okay. I like it
Yes.
when I'm around
No.
people that are elevating, whatever it is. Like they're reading, they're watching a podcast, they're listening to something. Like what? Like keep
Contagious.
going.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, something
and
more.
I get that energy, and that energy feeds me, and I hope that I feed them my energy as well.
And I would rather be alone than
Yeah.
to be in a room where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I need to get out.
Yes.
This episode is also sponsored by Hair and Beauty by Nikki L, where custom color, luxury extensions, and healthy hair care come together with purpose and passion.
Nikki is a master colorist, extension specialist, and the founder of Hair and Beauty by Nikki L. She's all about helping women feel confident, beautiful, and seen from the inside out.
Whether you're looking for a bold color transformation, seamless hair extensions, or a solution for hair thinning, Nikki has 17 plus years of experience and a heart for empowering every woman who sits in her chair.
Ready to fall in love with your hair again? Follow at Hair and Beauty by Nikki L. and book your appointment today. Your crown deserves expert hair, and Nikki's the girl who does hair with heart. This episode of the Señora Vibes podcast is brought to you by our official sponsor, Revive in the Heights Salon and Spa Studios, a one-stop beauty destination right in the heart of Houston.
That's right. Revive is more than just a salon. It's a whole vibe. It's a community of women-owned businesses offering everything from custom facials, lashes to hair, massage therapy, sauna, red light therapy, and more, all under one roof.
Whether you're overdue for some self-care or you're ready for a full transformation, Reviving the Heights is where beauty, wellness, and empowerment come together.
Visit us at revive_salon spa on Instagram to book your next service or check out our lineup of talented professionals.
Come for the glow up and stay for the sisterhood.
All right, ladies, quick fire round. Each
do
guest
it.
shares really quickly one thing you gave yourself permission to stop doing.
Explaining myself to people.
Ah, that's a good one.
I just don't give a shit.
Over explaining, right?
Not explaining anything.
Not like at all.
Yeah, like I'm
No
very
and
loud
no.
and out there, and people like misinterpret it in so many different ways. And like I'm a good person, and I love people. And if you can't get that,
That's
it's
a
a
you
you
problem.
problem.
That's a you problem,
That's
yeah.
a not me problem.
I'm loving this phrase. That's a you problem.
That's a you
That's
problem.
a you problem. Okay, one boundary you're proud to have created.
Oh, one boundary. Yeah. You know what? That it's okay to relax and to take a moment to myself.
Good.
You know, I thought going to get my nails done was self-care. And it's not. It's more than that. It's like being in my room. I just, want to either read, be in the moment with God. It's okay. The dishes are in the sink.
Yeah.
No one's going to come in the middle of the night and check on the dishes. So just that was kind of like a boundary. Yes, me. Yes, me. I'll be there at midnight. No,
That is a
that
good
was
one.
that was
Really
it for
good.
me. Yeah.
One more thing. One mantra or quote that fuels your second act.
I did it once, and I'll do it again.
Hell
Yes,
yeah. I love
queen.
that. I love that. I love
Yes.
that.
I would say for me would be your trauma is not your target.
Ooh.
Your trauma is not your target.
People
Explain
that
that
go
one.
through traumatic experiences sometimes in their childhood
Okay.
feel like that's where their life is going to lead them.
That's their final story.
Yeah, and it's not.
And it's not.
It's not.
I love that one.
That was really deep.
That's
Okay.
gonna be a podcast
I've been
by
through
itself.
therapy.
That sounds really good. I like it.
All right. To every woman listening, you don't need permission to rewrite your story. Whether it's a new business, a healed heart, or a radical new vibe, it's your time. We hope these stories lit a spark in you today. Thank you, ladies, so
Thank
much
you
for
so much
coming.
for having us.
Before we
you.
go, how can we find you?
Yeah, we can support you.
If anybody wants to come and use your services, how can they come and follow you, like you, share? How do we do that?
Sure. Follow me on Instagram at Dhara's World. I'm also on LinkedIn, Dhara Mistry. And then you can visit my website at www.coachingwithdhara.com. And you can connect with me there.
Awesome. We'll also link all of that information on our podcast.
On the description,
And
yeah.
on our social media platforms.
Okay.
And how about you, Miss Lorett?
Lorett, thank you for that. It was so fun. You're an amazing person. Wow.
Right? Isn't it
I
her
need to get your
energy?
number. So Bombochiya, you can find us on IG. We also have our own app by searching us on the App Store.
Okay.
If you're looking for any authentic luxury bags, we're the person to go to. And yeah, that's where you guys can find me.
Awesome. Do you do pop-ups or do you have like a storefront or is everything online?
So everything's online, but we did build out a little studio in the back. So we're having VIP nights. You guys are all welcome to come.
I definitely want to.
Yes,
Me
you can come see our
too.
pre-love, always authentic bags.
I've got
So-
all the notifications on the reel because I'm
Yeah.
always waiting.
No,
for
no,
the
no, no, no. We're
handbag
not
to
saying
go
that
down.
word. No, no, no.
What?
That's the
What do
enemy.
you
That's the
mean?
enemy.
No, because I love like my handbags and my
Yes.
shoes, but I don't buy them all.
You have to
retail.
buy
I buy
pre-loved.
everything pre-loved. Everything I do, and I sell on Poshmark. I sell on Vestiaire. I sell on all of
Good
those.
for you.
And I
Alicia
buy on there
hosts-
too.
And she also hosts a swap.
Yeah, I do circular fashion show, not fashion
Oh.
show, circular swap party.
Oh
So
my
basically,
gosh.
you bring like 10 items and we swap. You don't have to buy anything; you just swap.
Oh,
Like, I got a
invítame.
really great dress from her that I wear all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what
And
we
it's
do. We
stuff
swap.
that you
Such a
don't.
good
It's
idea.
stuff that
Yeah.
you don't want to give to Goodwill. It's stuff
Yeah.
that you
Right.
would like
That still
give
has-
to my girlfriend. Like, oh girl, I wore this dress already
This would be
twice.
perfect
Here's
for
you.
you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
what
it's-
else can we swap?
People
Exactly.
love that. People love it.
It was an amazing
So,
event.
Yeah, so I'm all about the thrifting. I'm all about like finding those handbags, those treasures.
Yes.
I love all that stuff.
Aw.
Love it.
You guys
So
are
I'm
welcome
gonna
to come.
let me know about your VIP because I
Yeah.
definitely want to join.
Okay. Great.
This has been great, ladies. Thank you
Thank you so much for
much.
having us
Awesome.
and creating such a great community.
Thank you.
for us.
We're excited to have you.